Good day, 'tis I, Lord Pendlebury. Now, a lot has been spoken about in the last few weeks about my slurring and progressively getting more pissed. Ironic, I know. Just to confirm, this week no alcohol is being consumed. I am doing this completely sober. It's just the baby was up at 4:45 this morning, spewing his guts up. So yeah, any slurring is as a result of him. That and this 12-year Macallan double cask. Anyway, if you are a member of iRacing and you would like to come and join us in the iRacing Evolution Sim Racing community, oh my god, this is terrible. Then yeah, come and join us. That Discord link down here is a good way to start. You'll come and join us and yeah, get involved with racing. Jesus Christ, right? Let's give this a go. This is going to go badly. Well, holy shitballs, what a terrible start to the video that was. Anyway, we return to the UK for our final road course of the season. We are at Brands Hatch, which is just outside the M25 to the southeast of London. You can tell we're back in the UK because I actually know where things are. Right then. The starting grid is Dan Slattery, as ever, on pole position. Lord Pendlebury then comes in second. He was only 0.05 of a second back, and believe me, that pissed somebody off. Will Thomas and Jeff Sharp were third and fourth, with Jamie Nicholson and Ricky Worrell making up the third row of the grid. Chris Palmer was in seventh, with Steve Everson alongside in eighth. Paul Nicholson and Axel Edwards round out the top 10, with Brian Dodd in 11th and finally Chris Hulse in 12th. Here we go then, engine notes rise, waiting for the lights to go out, and they do go out. Cameraman decides he's going to change focus at the last minute, puffs of tyre smoke all over the place. Looks like Pendlebury's got a decent start and is sniffing around the outside of Slattery. Worrell is doing exactly the same with Jamie Nicholson. Down they go, and up the hill they go. Sharp on the inside of Will Thomas there, while continuing his attack of Jamie Nicholson there. Looks like the back group have departed slightly there. Here they are. That's a right gaggle of cars, isn't it? Cornetto machine of Paul Nicholson leads the way. Brian Dodd a little wide going around turn 4. We've got Edwards looking up the inside of Nicholson, but decides against it there. Looks like everybody is making it around this first lap pretty nicely. Oh, Worrell perilously close to the grass there. Oh, and that was Will Thomas clipping the grass himself there. Holds it together nicely. It's been a nice clean lap for all. Pendlebury and Slattery have pulled out a little bit of a lead, a second back to Will Thomas there. But on the whole, the field is quite nicely condensed, I suppose. That was a fun way of putting it. Now, taking a look at the battle for the lead here between Slattery and Pendlebury. Slattery goes a little bit wide there. Pendlebury trying to hang it around the outside. Thinks better of it. Trying to now cut to the inside, I think. But Slattery held it on the apex quite nicely. Pendlebury just eking alongside as they head down. Oh, a little bit of rubbing there. They managed to make it through unscathed though. Close battling from these two though. Now taking a look at the battle for 9th, 10th and 11th between Nicholson, Edwards and Hulse. Looks like Hulse is on the inside. Round Sheen curve they go. And Hulse has got that move done. Up into the points he goes with that. And a little way up the track, the battle between Nicholson and Worrell heating up. Worrell has got alongside as they come down the main straight towards Paddock Hill. Nicholson tries to sweep around the outside. Oh, good racing from these two. Has he just about kept his nose in there, Worrell? He has. This is great side-by-side racing from the two of them. Nicholson gets the door closed, but it opens again on the inside. Side-by-side for getting on towards half a lap, these two. And has Worrell finally got the job done? Trying to park his car on the apex. Looks like Penderbury's side-by-side with Slattery as well. But we'll stick with this battle as they come down towards Hawthorns. Now, just taking a look back at that battle between Slattery and Penderbury. Slattery tries to close the door as they come out of turn, whatever that was, 3. But Penderbury got up the inside as they go on to the GP layout of the circuit. Just doesn't have enough momentum to get ahead of him though. Let's see how it all pans out as they get up to Hawthorns. Well, Slattery takes a line, Penderbury tucks back in behind, takes a look to the inside, does he? No, he doesn't, he tucks back in. Slattery's position in first place, looking untenable at this point, but we all know he's got a habit of managing to keep people behind. Like losing it and then getting in the way and killing all momentum. I'm not bitter. Now back to the charging Chris Hulse. Pulled away from Edwards nicely there. Dived to the inside of Paul Nicholson. Can Nicholson hold it on the inside? Well, there's good racing throughout the entire field at the moment in these Clios. They might be horrendous to drive, but they are good fun for racing. Looks like Hulse has got an excellent switchback. Will definitely have a bit more momentum than Nicholson, I feel. I've been desperately trying to think of a witty comment about the Cornetto theme delivery, something maybe Hot Fuzz related, but sadly can't think of anything. And also sadly for Paul Nicholson, he has lost 9th place to Chris Hulse there. Good charge from the back so far for Hulse, 12th up to 9th. Well, curse of the commentator, just got this replay. Hulse a lap later gets it on the grass, sends it into the barriers, and also Axel Edwards far too late on the brakes there, locks up straight into the gravel, so Hulse immediately regains the position, but he will surely lose it, as I imagine he is heading directly into the pits with that. Well, yeah, there's not much of that car left. Oh no, but he carries on. I'll tell you what, Jamie Nicholson doing all he can to make sure he's in the highlights all week, every week, battling away, trying to get back past Worrell. Oh, Worrell's gone in deep though. Through the gravel he goes. No barrier contact or anything. But yeah, that gives Jamie Nicholson 5th place back there. Well, here is the man with the hot fuzz and some hot tyres after this as well. Locks up. Now we take a look at the battle for the final points position. Brian Dodd's run a little bit wide and looks like he's... Well, that's quite the collection of cones he has got in his front grille there. That's got to be slowing him down somehow. Kind of want to stick with this, see if they come flying out. Oh no, they're just going to stay there. Edwards has gained a position in all of this. He's up to 10th place. Paul Nicholson is closing in. Like, seems fairly apt that the Cornetto man is closing in on the Cone man. Oh, there's one. He's dropping them out like it's Mario Kart. And, oh, they've all disappeared. someone else that's fucking Darren Brown. Back to the Nicholson and Worrell battle. Another one of those that just isn't dying. Round they go. Oh, Nicholson's got some wheels on the grass. All of them, in fact. He runs wide, and so difficult to get this car turned when you're on the grass. And yep, that has unfortunately dropped him a couple of seconds behind Mr. Worrell there. That was a good battle those two were having. I'll tell you what, draw your attention to the lovely and exciting last 10 laps average pace. And look at that from the leaders. Slattery, Pendlebury, Thomas and Sharp all very, very close together. Looks like Sharp is actually the quickest out of those despite being in fourth. Looks like he's got some pace stored up and ready to go should the moment arise. Now back to the leaders then. Despite his pace, it does look like Sharp has dropped off. I think he must have made a mistake earlier in this lap. Oh, speaking of mistakes, Slattery and Pendlebury both run wide. Slattery recovers better than Pendlebury does. That puts Sharp right on the back of Pendlebury. Will Thomas promoted up into second place, and Slattery now coming under a little bit of pressure for his first place again. Now, taking a look at the battle for 7th and 8th between Palmer and Everson. We haven't seen too much of this. Not sure whose fault that is. Bloody hell, look at that livery from Everson. With that, we'll call him... it's pop art themed, we'll call him the Pop Tart though. Oh! And Palmer runs severely wide there, loses the position to Everson and gives Everson a healthy lead to try and get away as well. Now, the battle for 10th place has been a hotly contested one. We've got Edwards in 10th at the moment with good old Shaun of the Dead in 11th, hunting him down. Oh, tyres locked up there from Edwards, goes straight on, leaves a cloud of smoke, and now finds himself in Paul Nicholson's cloud of smoke as Nicholson goes up into 10th place. Now, despite thinking this battle might have been dead and buried, it turns out it's not. Worrell in 5th, Nicholson in 6th. Nicholson has been slowly catching back up, and that will help the cause a lot. Worrell runs out into the grass and the gravel, and Nicholson promoted up to 5th place again. Right, in the penultimate stages of this race. And Chris Palmer has closed that gap back down to Steve Everson, the Pop Tart himself. Everson runs a little bit wide there, allowing Palmer up the inside as they come up to Druids. Around Druids they go and back down the hill they go. Ah, lovely driving there from Palmer. Forced Everson on a tighter angle than he wanted to, then got the switch back. Everson looking to return the favour, tries to squeeze it up the inside, there's contact, there's a hill and Everson's going backwards. There's cracking racing from these two. All started there with Everson running wide, coming down from Paddock Hill. Round Druids they went side by side. This was a lovely move from Palmer here. Went out wide, got the switch back underneath Everson, and had that momentum to take him ahead. Got fully ahead before the corner, but braked slightly earlier, which allowed Everson the opportunity to get back in. And Everson goes for a gap, and oh no, this camera angle's crap as well. What's going on? Now, the great thing about being underneath the map, there's no trees and hills to get in the way. And by the looks of things, yes, they came together and Steve span round. Now, we join the top three for the final few corners. Pendlebury is closed back up to Will Thomas. Slattery, as you can see from the graphic in the bottom right hand corner, his average pace has dropped off a fair bit. It's Thomas and Pendlebury that have had the pace in these closing a few laps. We've changed it to the last 5 lap average, as I feel like that's a better representation. Pendlebury moves to the outside. Tries to get the switch back. Can he? Thomas goes defensive, so forces Pendlebury round the outside, which is going to be the correct thing to do. It's close, but not quite close enough. Thomas just hangs on to take second place, with Pendlebury in third place. Now then, let's go run through the final classification for round 14 of the championship. So Dan Slattery, qualified pole, takes the win, but it wasn't as easy as that. Did well. Will Thomas comes home second. A frustrated Pendlebury rounds out the podium. That mistake costing him P2, you feel. Jeff Sharp lost some pace at the end, down into P4, with Jamie Nicholson, after his titanic battle with Ricky Worrell, finishes 5th. Chris Palmer then comes home 7th, with Steve Everson still giddy from his spin in 8th. Chris Hulse then comes home 9th, having started 12th, with Paul Nicholson rounding out the point scorers in 10th. And I'm not sure what's happened there, but everything's frozen in a puff of smoke. We then have Axel Edwards in 11th and Brian Dodd in 12th. So we will take a quick break, and we will be back for the highlights of the feature race in just a moment. Now, before we start the highlights for race 2, I would just like to take this opportunity to issue a sincere apology. We all make mistakes from time to time behind the wheel, and I am no exception to this rule. So I'm going to apologise to myself. During the race, I accepted full blame for 2 incidents that you will shortly see. Turns out the dubious incidents committee reviewed this afterwards, and at most 50-50 blame was apportioned in both instances, and particularly the one with Jeff Sharp. Let's just say you've got to give it up. You can't just keep on hanging on in there around the outside, just hoping it's going to work. So yes. Anyway, you be the judge for yourself. But yes. So apologies to me. Well, now then, we've got that all ironed out in a forum that is exclusively open to me. We will run through the grid. So, in first place, we have Steve Everson with Brian Dodd alongside. The second row of the grid is made up of Paul Nicholson with Ricky Worrell. Axel Edwards is in 5th place with Chris Palmer alongside, with Chris Hulse and Lord Pendlebury, the innocent, alongside him. Then we get to the final 2 rows of the grid, with Jamie Nicholson and Jeff Sharp sharing, as well as Will Thomas and Dan Slattery also sharing. Here we go then. Green flag flies again. Feature race well underway. Well underway. They've only been going 100 metres, you daft twat. Oh, Pendlebury giving a kiss to Palmer's rear end. Up to turn 2 they come. Oh, that's Chris Hull sliding up the inside. Looks like we were 4 wide through that first turn. Slattery on the outside of Chris Palmer here. Oh, Pendlebury and Sharp have lost out a fair bit in that first corner. Oh, Chris Huss has disappeared. He's reappeared. Oh, Nicholson's 3 wide with Williams and Thomas. Slattery now side by side with Thomas. This is tasty indeed. Oh, we've got Chris Hulse running wide there. We've got Steve Everson running away with it at the front at the moment. Converted that pole position into a nice tidy lead. Second ahead of Brian Dodd already. That's Jeff Sharp looking to the inside of Will Thomas. I think they'll be side by side. We've also got Chris Palmer looking like he's side by side with Pendlebury, is he? No, they've all tucked into line for the final turn. In quite a few races this season where we've gone from light to dark, and this one is one of them. Who's that? So that's Jamie Nicholson going up the inside of Axel Edwards to claim 4th place. Dan Slattery will be hoping to follow him through. Oh, we've got Will Thomas running a tad wide there. Tries to cut back, but Pendlebury's in the way. Gets spun round. We'll take a look at that as well in just a moment. Got someone well out wide there. That may well have been Palmer. Oh, Palmer switching to the inside. Oh. What on earth have I done? Well, let's take a pause there. Let's do some replays. Now, really, I think the only thing to do for this first couple of corners is super slow motion from the blimp. That is really going to tell us what happened here. Now, I think it was nice and tidy for the front runners. However, it got awfully crowded going through this corner for the back runners, and we've got Axel Edwards up the inside of Paul Nicholson to start it all off. Paul Nicholson's quite wide there. Chris Hulse using the grass, well, using the curb and the grass to get through there. Then it's 4 wide nearly. Pendlebury on the outside getting hung out to dry. Lots of bumping. Lots of trees now in the way. Now, quick on board with Slattery. And a bit of argy-bargy from Thomas into Sharp. You can see there Palmer into Nicholson of the Paul variety, into Pendlebury. Slattery goes up the inside, says thank you very much. He also goes around the outside of Palmer just here. Very opportunistic from 12th place to 8th in a matter of just 3 corners. Now we join Will Thomas's dash cam. You can see Worrell drifting it around turn 4. Oh, and nowhere really for Will Thomas to go. He unfortunately saw the gap there, started to close, and well, yeah, there we go. Bear that in mind for a few seconds time. Now we go on board with Pendlebury here. I've obviously chosen a camera angle that benefits me the most. I am judge, jury and executioner, and clearly Will Thomas has turned across me there. Though in all seriousness, he has. Now, just for Will's benefit, we will see this camera angle, which suggests I have come from a bit deep on this move, but in actual seriousness, I think we can say there that Pendlebury was expecting Thomas to maintain a wider line, thought he'd follow Sharp up the inside, and Thomas was going for the switchback on Jeff, and 2 into 1 don't go, so yes. Now, back to the live action. Pendlebury's got a decent run on Sharp here by the looks. Forces him a bit defensive, which means he'll run out wide. And Pendlebury is now up the inside. Oh, the slightest of touches there. Barely anything, but it sends Sharp out wide. This has held Hulse up and given Chris Palmer an opportunity on the outside to get one over on his namesake. They continue down the main straight side by side as they come down to Paddock Hill Bend. Oh, Palmer's a bit sideways there into the gravel. Is he going to keep it out of the barriers? No, he doesn't. Now on board with Pendlebury. This has been the subject of much debate on blame here. Turns in. Looks like he's comfortably making the corner. However, whack in the left rear quarter. Now, the only camera angle you need to clear this up, I feel. Pendlebury clearly got the momentum. Almost completely ahead. Sharp cutting across the white line there, leaving Pendlebury truly no room And equally, should have been pulling out. His front wing was not alongside. It was barely clinging on in there. So 100% Jeff Sharp. I am joking, of course. Apologies, Jeff. I will accept 50-50 final offer. Right then, now I've been absolved of all blame. We can crack on with the live action. Pendlebury closing in on Edwards. He'll attempt not to punt him off as well, but he doesn't need to. Looks like Edwards has run slightly wide there. He's killed all momentum. Jeff Sharp will also be looking to take advantage. Takes a look to the inside. Lovely move. Did well there. And continues his charge forwards. His slightly inhibited charge, but a charge nonetheless. And looks like we've got Chris Hulse alongside Axel Edwards as well. Edwards will be desperate to not lose 3 positions this lap, and maintains the position well. Now, it has been probably in the region of 15-16 hours since I was recorded the last clip. It's now the morning. I have a headache. And that's Dan Slattery. We were checking in with him. He's had a pretty quiet race thus far, just quietly working his way through, but he's cocked up there. Yeah, that's allowed Pendlebury through. Some in the grid will say that that was wise, and he was just getting out of the way of the inevitable punting. Well, to those people, I say, fuck you! Well, the battle for 3rd place is raging here between Jamie Nicholson, Pendlebury, and Slattery. Pendlebury and Slattery have closed up on Mr. Nicholson here. Steve Everson and Ricky Worrell just under 2 seconds up the road from these 3. There they are in the foreground. Slattery takes a look to the inside, thinks better of it. Looks like Nicholson's a little bit wide as they go down Paddock Hill. Up to Drew as they go. Oh, and if he was wide going through Paddock Hill Bend, Druids is a whole new definition of wide there. And it also looks like we've got Chris Hulse and Brian Dodd battling away. Hulse going round the outside. Will Thomas also looking to get involved here. Is he going to send it 3 wide? He is going to send it 3 wide. Oh, that is a fantastic move. Oh, that's Chris Hulse sent into the next dimension there. But yes, an excellent move there from Will Thomas. Now here we go, on board with Will Thomas. You can see he's got a great run out of turn 3. Up the inside he goes. And up 2 positions he goes, 9th to 7th. That was very nicely done. Now taking a quick look at this replay. That was Jamie Nicholson going off. What we didn't see was the end of this battle, and that was Dan Slattery forcing the move to get back past Pendlebury. Pendlebury runs wide out of turn 3, and up the inside Slattery goes. And now we jump forward to the battle for the lead. Worrell has closed that gap to Everson. The Pop-Tart goes defensive. What is that livery, Worrell? Sort it out. Steve can sort you out one. Look at that. Do you want to look like that? Other liveries are available from the Everson catalogue, and let me tell you, it's a big catalogue. Used as a doorstop for most, but anyway, I'll stop trying to be funny because I'm failing at that. I'll tell you what, who's not failing though, Ricky Worrell. He makes that move just at the right time because Slattery and Pendlebury, well, mainly Slattery going off of that, were closing in. He needed to get that job done. Now we take a look back at the battle for 9th, 10th and 11th. We've got Brian Dodd leading Chris Palmer, and a little way back Chris Hulse. Oh, Palmer looks to the inside, going up towards Druids. Oh no, somebody else caught out by the braking zone there in Druids. Brian goes straight on, keeps out of the wall though, does drop back down to 10th though. Here is this group again then, a little later on. Slattery moves to the inside. Oh, rubbing is racing, and there's definitely a bit of rubbing there between Worrell and Slattery. Worrell takes the line. Oh, he's been turned. And that was the man the cameraman knew. Well, here we go then. The chopper picks up this battle. Slattery showing his nose on the inside there to force a bit of space. Round turn 3 they go, and it looks, yeah, Worrell just minding his own business. Slattery says, "Your business is mine now, son." So yes, Pendlebury picked up the lead after all of that. Worrell has unfortunately had to tow. Oh, Pendlebury gets a wheel on the grass, avoids the barriers. Well, nearly. He definitely doesn't avoid the barriers there, though. Amateur. Now we move back to the battle for P5. Looks like Chris Hulse has got a decent run here on Paul Nicholson. Indeed he has, and there is usually only ever one winner. And that's usually the man on the inside. However, Paul Nicholson is clinging on as best he can, but Hulse gets the job done. P5 for him. Word from the chopper is our race leader has cocked up. Indeed he has. Wheel on the grass. I'll tell you what, nobody wants to win this race, do they? Lord Pendlebury did exactly the same thing, just in a different part of the track. But that, I am sure, is putting Jeff Sharp right on his chuff. Confirmed chuff attendance from one Jeff Sharp in his Team 19 machine. Slattery has definitely picked up some damage. He is slow on the straights, meaning that Sharp is all over him. Both taking the wider exit line there for turn 4. Side by side as they come up to Hawthorns, and Sharp gets the job done. Goes around the outside. Now we join the battle for 6th and 7th between Pendlebury and Dodd here. Pendlebury has been in for his pit stop. Dodd is yet to pit. Also got Paul Nicholson just behind these two. The Nicholson and Dodd battle is well and truly on. We've also had Dan Slattery making his pit stops. He's back down to 5th place, and we'll be hoping that when it all shakes out he has the lead. Pendlebury looking around the outside. Paul Nicholson goes into the pits. Will Pendlebury get the move done before turn 1? I don't think he will. Will he try go all the way around the outside? Looks like he's checked up to try and get the switch back. Dodd goes defensive. Up to Druids they go. Will he try and go all the way around the outside this time? Indeed he does. Oh, gets a little bit wide there. I think they may still be side by side. They are. Pendlebury will have the inside line as they go onto the back straight. Now, despite previous failures at this, there are some pit stops about to shake out. That is Dan Slattery. The final drivers that haven't pitted yet are now currently in the pit lane. That is Dan Slattery coming down the main straight. We expect him to recover first place. Indeed he does. Will Thomas coming out of the pits there. We've got Chris Hulse who's in for his pit stop along with Chris Palmer. There's Will Thomas starting his outlap, but that leaves us with Jeff Sharp 2.6 seconds back from Dan Slattery, with Will Thomas a further just over 3 seconds from Sharp, and then Pendlebury 5 seconds back from Will Thomas. And there is Hulse leaving the pits with Palmer only well, less than a second behind him. Well, you can see from the I suppose horizontal position guide across the bottom of the screen there that we don't have too many battles out on track, and at this point I like to take a look at the 5-lap average in the bottom right hand corner. My god, it's my favourite thing that Race Labs have ever done. So yeah, you can see there all pretty even at the front. Looks like Pendlebury is edging it on pace. But yeah, those gaps are pretty big at the moment. I tell you what, who is looking well out of position relative to pace? That is Jamie Nicholson. He's right up there, matching the leaders or close to the leaders certainly. So yeah, that's a shame. That early mistake has cost him. Ricky Worrell also a fair bit out of position. Outright pace would put him in 6th, but currently is only in 10th, languishing down in the final points position. Well, there we go then, a hard-fought race. They might not be fun to drive, but they're producing great racing. That is Slattery taking the win with Jeff Sharp in 2nd and Will Thomas in 3rd. That's Pendlebury cutting some more grass, coming home 4th there. As we descend into inky darkness, we have Chris Hulse will eventually emerge, a beacon of light. What am I on about? Jesus Christ. Chris Hulse comes home in 5th with Chris Palmer in 6th. Axel Edwards came home in 7th with Jamie Nicholson in 8th. Paul Nicholson in 9th with Ricky Worrell in that final points position in 10th. Brian Dodd came home 11th, and after not turning for turn 1, Steve Everson unfortunately had to retire his car. So let's go and take a look at the standings. Here we go then. First place is Dan Slattery on 340 points. That is a whole 105 points ahead of Will Thomas. He took his 8th and 9th wins of the season today. Now, as annoying as that is for the rest of us, that is some achievement. So very well done from Dan Slattery. He hasn't quite wrapped up the championship yet, but he only needs the bare minimum of results in the next race to do so. We have Will Thomas then in 2nd place with Jeff Sharp in 3rd. It's then pretty close between 4th and 5th. Jamie Nicholson on 185 with Pendlebury just 2 points back on 183. It's then 50 odd points back down to Chris Hulse on 129 with Chris Palmer trying to hunt him down for the title of Chris Prime. He's on 107 points. We then have Axel Edwards in 8th on 50 points with Ricky Worrell in 9th place with 45. An impressive climb up the rankings from him, having started the season several rounds too late. We then have Paul Nicholson tied with Ricky, also on 45 points. I've just realised that I've cocked up the numbers for this standings, but who cares? In 10th place we have Brian Dodd. He's not in 11th. He's on 39 points with Stephen Lacotta in 11th with 30 points. I tell you what, it's a good job I'm not doing this drunk, because otherwise this would be very confusing. We then have Steve Everson in 12th with Josh Morris in 13th. Nelson Verdier is then in 14th with Martin Rigby just 10 points back in 15th. Jarvis Dorado also on 10 points, and rounding out the standings is Anthony Marriott on 1 point. So yes, thank you very much for watching as ever. If you do want to come and join us, follow that Discord link at the start of the video. Yeah, for now, ciao. Good day. 'Tis I, Lord Pendlebury. Following a friendly and amicable chat with a member of the Evolution Sim Racing management team who will remain undisclosed,
Better not be recording that on camera.
No, I'm not doing it on camera. I fully retract any claims or insinuations I made in relation to a Turn 7 incident in the Renault Clios at Brands Hatch. This member of management is fundamentally perfect in every way, and I don't think I've seen a better racing driver in my life. Even in his hatred of open-wheelers, he is perfect. And I, Lord Pendlebury, fully support his motion to strike open-wheelers from next season's calendar.